This is Twit.
Funny story about last week's show. Jason, can I peel back the curtain for everyone?
Yes, peel back the curtain.
We had a story on last week's show about the Motorola Z4 being leaked, that somebody was able to purchase it from Amazon and have it delivered. And in the article we showed pictures and all this sort of stuff. And I had to sit there with my mouth closed because I literally was at the Motorola Z4 launch event right before we recorded, and unfortunately I was under NDA and couldn't talk about it. And so I was literally sitting doing the show holding the Moto Z4,
stroking the box
while you were speculating, and as you talked about all the things that, like, it says it's this, it says it's that, and I was like, yep, it is, yep that's it, yep that's it.
But I can't say a single thing.
Sure enough, there is the Motorola Z4. I was at the launch event, got to see Motorola's presentation about their explosive growth. They did a whole section in the presentation before they even got into the Z4 about how Motorola is the only OEM that has sales increasing in the mobile phone market, and how they're just doing great, and the things they're doing with the 5G network in Chicago and all that amazing stuff. But then they got to the Z4 and they officially launched it. It looks very familiar to the previous Moto Z, to the Z3. If you remember that, it's got the little the quarter-sized phone there. It's got the pogo pins for the Moto Mods. Looks very, very similar, but they did pack some impressive updates within it. So it's a 6.4-inch max vision display with in-display finger sensor, which now is at the point where I feel like that's industry standard. Like, I'm so used to that fingerprint sensor. It's got a Snapdragon 675 with 4 gig of RAM, 128 gig of storage. It's got a micro SD card, 25 megapixel selfie camera with quad pixel technology. Got a little notch, a little teardrop notch at the top. You can't see it here, but it does. I don't like the notches now. Anyway, but it's got that crazy 48 megapixel rear camera with OIS, also a quad pixel technology. It's got USB 3.1 Type C. It's running Android 9 Pie. Comes in 2 colors, flash gray, which is the one I got here, and frost white. And like I mentioned, it comes with it's Moto Mod compatible, so it works with all previous generations of Moto Mods. So remember 2 or 3 years ago when I was showing the first Moto Mods and the Alexa speaker and the projector and all that stuff? Those all still work on this.
That's awesome.
And in fact, I don't know if it's a testament to how few they've sold, but all Moto Z4s come with the 360 camera. So this comes out of the box. So now I have 2 of these, but nonetheless, one drawback of this is that it doesn't quite fit exactly the same way. It's tell here through my Skype, but there's a little bit of a ridge and a lip when it snaps in. It doesn't snap in as cleanly as the previous generations because the bezel is slightly different than the previous models, but it still snaps in. It still works. If you don't get hung up on that little lip, it's totally fine. And first impressions of the phone, much like when I looked at the Moto G line for Motorola a couple months ago, is that it's solid. It's close to Android stock. It's got very little customization or kind of UI on top of it. It lets Android does what it does well. It has all the Motorola stuff that makes the Motorola phone special, like their nightshade or night vision version in the camera. And it's it's impressive. And if you've bought into the Moto Mod platform with the previous generations, all your mods will work. So that's pretty cool. But honestly, the best thing I think about this is the price. All those specs that I talked about, and a phone that can be that we see here on the screen that can be upgraded to 5G if it's in your market with a Moto Mod, you can get it for $499. And that's $499 at Verizon or unlocked at Best Buy, Amazon, or B&H Photo, which is crazy. So it comes out June 6th, which is in 2 days from now, Thursday. Next week, I'm going to do a full review after using the phone for a couple of weeks. Just kind of my first impressions of it are that it's a solid upgrade. Motorola continues to be, I don't want to say workman in a way that's negative, but it's very much, like the phone works at a really good price, and it's got the best parts of Android that you want from it. And I think the Z4, the Moto Mod aspect, if you buy into it, adds a level of, kind of expansion and power that other phones don't, that you can do other cool stuff with depending on what your interests are. They have a gamepad that you can attach into if you're a gamer. They've got that camera, camera attachment if you want to get into digital photography. It's still neat. It's just a fun phone to kind of own. But if you're a Verizon customer and you don't want to spend $1,000 on a phone, I think this is going to be a good option for you. So there's the Moto Z4. I'm glad to see the Moto Mods still survived because we were worried they were going to go away.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, this is a long time that they've supported this. At the same time, some people have complained that it holds them back to a certain degree as far as like their options for design and kind of revitalizing the design of their phones. A lot of times they end up kind of looking very similar because they've got to be able to make sure to fit that like standard Moto Mod, clip on to snap on the back.
Just keep increasing the display.
Yeah,
the edge of the display.
Right. The display just gets bigger, the notches get smaller.
Because they're going to catch hell the first time they put out a phone that doesn't work with those previous Moto Mods. That's the problem with it. Like that's the problem with a hardware-based expansion system. But for now, they're committed to it. And I got to say, the one thing about the 5G thing is neat to see that you can buy a phone and be able to snap an expansion pack and have it be 5G compatible. That's great. But dang, that 5G Moto Mod pack is thick. It turns your phone into a bit of a brick. And so if that's the future of 5G, I hope that we see the 5G technology get smaller because our phones are going to get fat again, which we're so close to having thin phones. So
that's the price you pay for fast in the 5G age.
Yeah, but yes, I'll be back next week with a full review of it. But I wanted to give everyone kind of a glimpse and share the fact that I knew the truth last week and I couldn't say it.
And you couldn't say anything. Now you've confirmed it all.
Truth.
Moto Z4.
So,
awesome.
I remember it was the Moto X, but then it was the phone right after the Moto X. It was a mini something other. I can't remember, but I remember holding that phone and thinking, wow, this is pretty close to vanilla Android. And I really, really enjoyed that phone. The missus had it. Camera on it stunk, but operational standpoint, it was a really nice phone and pretty clean, not a lot of bloat and crap. And it's nice to see that this is still continuing with this Moto lines. That OS still looks clean. And now you have this smoking fast hardware. I'd love to see the camera and how it reacts.
The camera, they had a bunch of demo stations at the launch event, and the camera reacts really strongly. The night mode is as impressive, I think, as the Pixel One. Maybe not. I think I give the Pixel One a bit of an edge, but it's right up there. It's challenging it. I think that you're definitely getting a lot with that camera, but for $499, you can't beat. I don't think you can beat that price point. Like that. That's what I think is great. If Moto is really seeing this great success and they've got a volume business that allows them to bring their cost per unit down to $499, that's a great product differentiator in the marketplace, I think. So
for a flagship,
Yeah, for sure.
Man, I mean, this is
for a high-end phone.
I mean, this is as high end as they're getting, right? They don't even have
this
anything
is their
that's
flagship,
high. So there you go.
So